Welcome back to the Out of Rough podcast presented by We Know Fantasy. As always, my name is Nate with We Know Fantasy, and joining me as always, is my co-host Jake. Jake, how we doing today?
We're doing good. We're doing good. Had a little golf weekend myself. I played a lot. Didn't get to watch too much, but really nice to see Justin Thomas back in the winner's circle after I think it was roughly 3 years. Um, Huge relief for him. Super excited for him. Very well deserved. Struggled a bit in that 3 year stretch, right, where we were like, is Justin Thomas lost his touch? But he's been teetering around winning very recently and at the end of last year. So I feel like this was overdue. Unfortunately for me, I kind of predicted this and took him 28-1 at the PGA Championships, thinking that's where he would break through. So I'm hoping he kind of just continues his run of form through there and can kind of pay me off there. But extremely happy for him, a huge weight off of his shoulders and a big win for him.
Yeah, even with this victory, he's still been littering top fives, top tens for the better part of a year. You mentioned it. You know, should have had what was the Valero that he lost to Victor there. A lot of good golf along the way. There was a stretch right 2 years ago in 2023, I believe was his real bad stretch where he didn't even make the FedEx Cup standings. Like he had to finish, I don't know, top 15 or top 10 in the final event of the season and couldn't even do that. Or it was something like made the cut. Something it wasn't
Yeah.
astronomical. He couldn't even do that, or it came down like the final putt. It was something crazy. Either way, going from that back to the winners circle in a signature event, even good to see. And he's one of those guys that feels like the game is better when he is playing better golf. He's kind of a bit of a polarizing character, right? You
Yeah.
either love him, hate him. There's kind of no in between. I've cashed a bunch of Justin Thomas tickets back in my day when I first started this thing, so he's always there in my mind. But just one of those things recently where he pops in a model, you're like, I don't know if this is going to happen yet, and kind of overpass it. And we talked about like the Victor Hovland and all of that. It's just long time coming. The game's better when we get the outside of a Scotty Scheffler, you get the Patrick Cantlays, the Victor Hovlands, and Patrick Cantlay. I'm not sure if we'll ever find the winner circle again. Those type of guys getting back in there. But again, weekend or a holiday weekend here for Easter, so I didn't get to watch much of it. Saw the little bit of an ending there, but beyond that, wasn't really in tune. Do need to give a massive shout out to Craig Thompson though. 101 hit on the LPGA tour. I don't really know her name. Ingrid, I think was her first name at least, right?
That
And
sounds right.
third start on the LPGA Tour, Craig backed her, and 100-1, big ticket to cash there. That's his second hit in 5 articles on the LPGA with us. So make sure you're checking out all of his content. This is the first major of the season for the LPGA at the Chevron Championships. A lot of great content coming out there. I did my article, WeKnowFace.com. Craig, being Craig, went through and listed on our website every single golfer in the field, their last 8 major finishes, as well as their complete Chevron Championship form.
Beast
Absolute
mode.
insanity, beast mode. So if you're looking for any LPGA content this week, be sure to check it out. It's a good week to have that opening major for the LPGA, right? Because we have the Zurich Classic, which a lot of people take off. They don't really pay attention to it. They skip this week in betting and all of that. And the DP World Tour is at a new event as well. So it's a good week to try to get some of the, viewership from those tours over to the LPGA. I'm excited for it. It should be a good event either way. But before we do hop into things this week, Jake, where are we finding on social media?
Yep, you can find me at DJ Freeman on Twitter. I post all of my outright betting cards there. So be sure to check those out. Also, be sure to join our Discord, completely free to join. I post my matchup plays exclusively in there. I know Nate posts his first round leaders exclusively in there as well. So find exclusive content completely free, no hidden paywalls. Once you're in there, you have access to everything. Devin and Cody run a NASCAR channel. I haven't really been keeping up with the tennis channel, but if there is some more interest, I will be sure to hop back in there and get it back live. But yeah, the golf channel going nuts as always, uh, gassing each other up, getting into good, healthy debates over, different golfers, different situations, a lot of good questions and information in there. So again, completely free to join. Be sure to reach out to Nate or myself. We can get you to the link to join that.
Yeah, like you said, it's a great tool to have at your fingertips, completely free. A ton of great content. Live is back this week. I'll have my exclusive Live card there. Not like I'm a crazy good live tipster or anything like that, but I did hit Sergio Garcia 29-1 this season or 33-1, whatever it was. Have had a few close calls there. So if you're looking for exclusive content, matchups, LPGA, outside of, the majors, of course, that's posted on the website. But all of that, again, free tool. There's 260, 270 plus people in there. It's absolutely insane. Going 24/7, you can post anything and everything in there, and you'll find someone to either debate you or agree with you. So it's a great tool. And again, NASCAR has been going crazy along the way as well. Follow myself, Nate, on Twitter at WKF Nate. Be sure to follow We Know Fantasy on all forms of social media at We Know Fantasy. Be sure to visit WeKnowFantasy.com for some more fantasy sports content, fantasy baseball, basketball, football, NASCAR, golf, everything in between. We have you covered. NFL drafts coming up here, Jake. It's exciting times there as well. I'll
Yeah.
usually have, at least 3 or 4 mock drafts up to this point, and I have zero. So we'll see if I can even find some time to get my one and only mock draft up this year. But either way, if it is to come, it'll be posted on that website. On there, you can find my Out of the Rough Golf Betting article series each and every week: PGA Tour, DP World Tour, and LPGA Majors. PGA Tour full DFS breakdowns, suggestions on there. Everything else, course, field, where I really go in depth about all those events and tours. You can also find Andrew at All Tour Golf Bets, his Corn Ferry Tour and Challenge Tour previews on there. The most knowledgeable and in-depth breakdowns of those two respective tours on there as well. I don't know where he finds his information half the time because I can't find it on the internet myself, and he hasn't had a winner for us yet, but he's been close. He's had some great calls along the way, and of course, the aforementioned Craig Thompson is on there as well with LPJ and an occasional Villette stuff. Absolutely the single most knowledgeable women's golf handicapper there is to know. And we're more than happy to have both Andrew and Craig on the Out of the Rough team. Absolutely killing it on all tours along the way. But yeah, I believe that's it. Let's hop into things this week here, Jake. Zurich Classic of New Orleans. New Orleans. I apologize if you're from New Orleans, New Orleans, whatever you want to call it. I'm just a simple Yankee who doesn't know how to pronunciate anything. It is the PGA Tour's one and only team event. It is again a polarizing event, just as I talked about Justin Thomas. You either love this event or you hate it. We talk about it even here as I see a lot of people who are hardcore golf fans, hardcore golf tipsters, handicappers along the way who just skip this event altogether. It's a extremely hard event to handicap because you either usually have like that one ringer group. We've had Xander and Patrick Cantlay for years, and then last year Rory and Shane Lowry decided to team up, and they're back this year, and then a bit of randomness after that, right? You have a lot of nationality groupings. You have some brothers even along the way. I think we have 3 groups of brothers this year. We'll hop into that here in a second. But yeah, the scoring format, if you've seen any form of, you know, Ryder Cup, Solheim Cup, all of that, you'll know some of this. The first day is usually uh, Thursday is best ball format. That means that each golfer will play their own ball throughout the entirety of the round with the best score on the hole recorded. Then the other 2 days, Friday and Sunday, will be foursomes format, and that's your typical, like if you're playing, um, or should I say, alternate shot. I think foursomes is the best way to describe that. This means the players will rotate tee shots. One player will hit the tee shot on the odd number holes, and the other tees off on the even number holes, and you alternate shots from there. It is not like I almost talked about how it's like your local scramble. It is not. That is what is that one called when in the fancy golf terms? Either way, it's not. You have foursomes and four balls, completely different. Don't listen to what I say. All right. As for DFS scoring this week, if you guys are playing that, it'll view as in like you'll see like Rory slash Shane and then Shane slash Rory. You can only play one of those guys. You can't play both those guys. You can play one group essentially. All right. The field this week, of course, we talked about it. Shane Lowry, Rory McIlroy, the ringers. They're getting the Scotty Scheffler treatment this week with the price on DFS and on the betting cards. They're like 3-1, 3.5-1. All of that. They topped Chad Ramey and Martin Trainer in a playoff season ago. We talked about that, the randomness of this event. You have Rory McIlroy and Shane Lowry go into battles with Chad Ramey and Martin Trainer in a playoff to win a PGA Tour golf event. Absolutely crazy. Some other notable groups, you Colin Morikawa and Kurt Kitayama. Last year, we were introduced to this group as a Call of Duty, I believe, pairing. They have become friends by playing Call of Duty. And I know last year on this podcast, Jake, we talked about how we're excited for this one because for the older people may not understand this, but when it comes to gaming and doing it well, you have to have great communication, great trust with your teammates. So we'll see how they go on this year. T23 a season ago. Billy Horschel, who won this event as an individual in 2013, also won with partner Scott Piercy in 2018, will team up with Tom Hoagie this season. Some other notable pairings: Robert McIntyre and Thomas Dietrich, Will Zalatoris and Nick Dunlap, Wyndham Clark and Taylor Moore, Heath Gallon and Aaron Ryan, Akshay Bhatia and Carson Young. We'll see a ton of nationality pairings across this tournament. Adam Hadwin and Nick Taylor, maybe the most notable of those pairings. Uh, if you guys have seen Full Swing, you know that they're best friends, roommates, all of that. You have Siwoo Kim and Sangmoon Bae of South Korea, Matthew Pavon and Victor Perez of France, Eric Van Rooyen and Christian Bezenut of South Africa, Laurie Cantor, Jordan Smith of England, Rio Hastune and Takumi Kanaya of Japan, among other nationality pairings. And I think the most fun aspect of this is the brother pairings. We were kind of introduced to this with
Yeah.
Matt Fitzpatrick and Alec Fitzpatrick back in 23, I believe it was. And that was the year that Alex Fitzpatrick went on to have like a top 10 finish at the US or at the Open as well. So that was cool to see. But we'll have the likes of Yannick Paul and Jeremy Paul, who are both off of respective like T2s and T3s in their last outings across the DP and the PGA Tour. And then you have the Rasmus Hogard and Nicholas Hogard, the twins, teaming up. I know they were kind of the talk of the town last season. I think they ended up missing the cut, if I am to remember. But either way, they're back this week as well. Davis Riley and Nick Hardy, the 2023 winners of this event, will be back this year as well. Other former winners of this event teamed up include Ryan Palmer in 2019 and with not Nick Watney in 2007. Charlie Hoffman and Nick Watney will be playing in their eighth consecutive Zurich Classic together. They've played in every installment as a duo. Kevin Tway had played in this previous seven installments with Kelly Craft, but will be paired with Bud Cauley this season. The cut line will be the top 33 teams after Friday, including ties. The course, TPC Louisiana, plays as a par 72 at roughly 7,400 yards. Sits just 15 minutes from downtown New Orleans. It's a Pete Dye designed in Avondale, Louisiana. It was constructed on 250 acres of former wetlands and featured 100 bunkers. Such is the case of most Pete Dye design courses, along with familiarity of TPC courses. They play towards a tendency of positional angles off the tee with around the green emphasis. Bunkers, along with water hazards, plays a main line of defense this week. There are some random hazards, such as trees in the center of the fairways as well. Despite the list of hazards previously mentioned, there are plenty of scoring opportunities here. Play off the tee will not be of the utmost importance this week, as proven in years past. We've seen the success of both teams and individuals find success without being strong off the tee. And all this is a glorified second shot golf course with emphasis on strong approach play to avoid aforementioned greenside, water hazards, and bunkers. The signature hole at TPC Louisiana is a par 5 18th, where there's water all the way down the right side of the hole. Jake, anything to add here before we move forward?
No, I think you covered it all. I am definitely not a lover of this event. I fall on that side of the scale here.
Yeah, it's an interesting event, but I do like how it changes the pace of things and kind of takes away
Yeah.
from the, the 9 to 5 feel, the PGA, the clock in, clock out kind of feel. Gives the players a bit of, personality, allows them to venture out of their normal safe zones, I guess you could say. And that aspect I do enjoy, but just if I'm trying to tune in, on a Sunday with nothing else to do and watch some golf, this really isn't the event for you.
Yeah. Good point.
All right. So, Jake, I know you don't have much in play here. I have four plays along the way. How many are you going to talk about today?
I'll talk about three. We'll counter each other here.
All right. So let's kick it off here with probably one of the most notable groupings we've seen along the way, at least on the Twitter side of things, and that's Billy Horschel and Tom Hoagie, 28 to 1. You know, I like to find pairings in this format that complement each other's weaknesses. I like to find a strong putter with a strong approach player, that type of thing. Horschel and Hoagie do that. Hoagie is 14th on tour and approach, Horschel 82nd. Hoagie 31st in sand saves, Horschel 76th. Horschel 76th around the green, Hoagie 132. Horschel 48th in par fives, Hoagie 72nd. The list goes on. Hoagie placed 13th here in 2023 with Harris English and 34th in 2019 with J.J. Henry. Horschel had played three consecutive seasons between 2001 and 2003 with Sam Burns. They placed 11th in 23, second in 2022, and fourth in 2021. So Horschel has seemed to have figured out this scoring format. I mean, it does help that he has a top 20 player in the world with Sam Burns on his side there for three of those events. Tom Hoagie has yet to do so, but we've seen Tom Hoagie, he can be electric when it comes to
Yeah.
especially with the approach play. He can dot the ball where he wants to dot the ball. And as a glorified second shot golf course, this is going to be one that suits his game rather well, I believe. Hoagie's been putting well. You talked about them before the podcast as well. Horschel, Hoagie, going to come down to if they can make a few putts where they shouldn't. But again, the approach play from Hoagie, everything else along the way, I think they complement each other well. And they're both Texas guys. I think that's a good fit here. 20 to 1, it's a weird market to try to navigate, right? It doesn't make sense along the
Yeah.
way. You're going to see some guys I talk about with some other pairings that you're like, who in your right mind would bet so and so at 35 to 1? But it's their partner that really elevates them. And Tom Hoagie and Billy Horschel, I think they're kind of evenly matched guys pairing up this week. Just seems like a perfect place for them to go out and have a ball.
Yeah, I like the call out here, and yeah, we talked before the pod. Hoagie in his last 5 weeks per round gained 1.22 strokes putting, 0.68, 0.52, 0.84, and 1.57. So he's been putting like pretty lights out. He is going to win very, very soon based on those numbers. So wouldn't surprise me if it's this week. If it's not this week, he's probably going to be my first click if he's teeing up next week at TPC Craig Ranch.
Yeah, he's a guy that gets birdies in a hurry just because that approach play is, elite. It's top five. At one point, like last year, he was number one in approach with Scotty Scheffler right behind him. So that's that's the kind of stat that transcends all golf courses is approach play, iron play, because, what's the most things you do on a golf course is approach, it's iron play. There aren't holes you use your driver on every hole. There's some holes where one putt, things like that. But you're going to have irons in your hand more often than not. So I'm excited for that group. Who's your first talking point here, Jake?
Yeah, I definitely want to talk about Aaron Rai and Sahith
Yep.
Theegala because Aaron Rai has been playing some really good golf this season, and even though Theegala hasn't, a team event feels like it's in his forte. Like that is where I would expect him to thrive, to build off of someone's energy, to work together. It kind of just seems like his personality to be able to play well in this event. So pairing up with someone who's in some great form like Aaron Rai is great. What do we know about Theegala? He's generally really good at ball striking. The putter can get really spike hot, and he's great around the greens. He could be absolutely wild off the tee, so I'd be praying that Aaron Rai is teeing off more times than Tigala is. But the rest of the game is kind of there for Sahith to be able to compete. And as for Aaron Rai, what do we know about him? He's a plotter, fairway finder, elite irons. The putter can tend to struggle, even though this year he's been pretty solid with it. Same with the around the green, where that's where Tigala tends to thrive. So, like you talked about before, the yin and yang effect of someone who's good in one aspect and the other player is good in the other. I think that they fit that bill and could be a good bet here.
Yeah, they're definitely one that when you load the odds, you see who's playing. That's one that catches your eye simply because a lot of what you talked about. We're waiting for a get right tournament this season for Sahith Theegala. We've seen
Yeah.
flashes of him during his rookie season where we're like, this guy's going to win a major sooner rather than later. Now we're like, what's going on with Sahith Theegala? He has the ability to create magic as well, as you talked about, his around the green play, stuff that doesn't get, transitions into stats like the Jordan Spieth back in his prime. The stuff he's able to do to save par or get himself in chances out of absolutely nothing. See, Theegala has a bit of that. So maybe this is the event where not so much pressure. You have someone who is going to keep the ball in between the fairway. Aaron Rai also a fantastic approach player. This could be the time where Sahith Theegala can kind of, get loose, let go of things, and see if he can't figure something out along the way.
Yeah, Nate, just one thing. I'm personally so upset that Tigala didn't pair up with Akshay Bhatia because that would have been my first and only click. And I know that they're good friends, so I'm a little surprised that they aren't teeing it up together. But oh man, that would have been my electric auto
Oh my
click, just
gosh.
ride it into the sunset bet.
Yeah, you think they would have, they're in commercials together. They're seen everywhere all the time. I see them on TikTok together now,
Yeah,
right? So, yeah. Uh, I don't understand how these pairings are made, right? Because there's so many
yeah,
pairings in our mind that make so much more sense. I mean, they come here and it's just seems kind of random,
yeah,
but yeah, it's not like they're not both in this field either. So I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot to do with like sponsorships and things like that and kind of force pairings
yeah,
along the way. But man, that would have been a fantastic group to follow as well.
yeah. I had to mention it.
All right, keeping things rolling here. My next group is the Sepp Straka and Bryce Garnett group at 33 to 1. This is what I was talking about earlier when technically on my ROI spreadsheet where I keep track of all my bets throughout the season, I'm going to have Bryce Garnett with a 33 to 1 next to his name. People are going to think I'm crazy, but this is one of those cases where Sepp Straka kind of just elevates everything, right? He is so good. He's first on tour in approach and par five average scoring, where Garnett's 155 in approach and 132 in par fives. Straka second in birdie or better. Garnett 121. Garnett, though, is much better around the green than Sepp Straka. 40th around the green to Sepp Straka's 116. Garnett's also 23rd in scrambling, where Straka's 83. Both play the sand well, both avoid bogeys, and both are top 10 in green regulations on the PGA Tour. Again, Straka's also 8th in strokes gained total. This is a good pairing here. Again, Sepp Straka definitely elevates this group, but again, 33 to 1, I think there's great value here with a Sepp Straka. But Bryce Garnett does, it's not like he's a complete waste to Sepp Straka here. The
Yeah.
around the green work, I think, is going to be great for Straka because that's where his glaring weakness is. Everything else Straka does is fantastic on the PGA Tour. So another one of those great examples of finding someone to fill in your holes of your game and see if that can't, propel you to victory.
Yeah, I do think they complement each other well. And with how Straka started this season, he played incredible golf, right? It petered off a little bit, but his approach numbers are just insanity. Like if you break them down, Sepp Straka is just incredible.
Mhm.
Garnett is he makes cuts, right? He's not too flashy. He does have a T11 at the Cognizant this year, so he does have a solid finish. I do like the yin and yang. I do think that there is meat on the bone, like you said, with the odds given for this group. So I like the call there.
Forgot to mention they also played this event together as well last season when they placed 11th. So
Yeah.
familiarity with each other, a top 15 while doing so. I mean, first year together, they're 11th with a Bryce Garnett along the way, and Sepp Straka's playing 10 times better golf than he was a season ago. So seems like a perfect storm.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
All right, Jake, who's your next dimension here?
Yeah, this next group I had to give a lot of thought to. So personally, as of right now, I don't have any bets in on this event, full disclosure. But these are the groups that I've really thought about as I've been going through, and this group tempts me the most, I'd say. It's Ryan Gerard and Danny Walker.
Hey,
So,
that's my next play.
oh wow, nice. So 60 to 1.
Hmm.
Gerard is having an awesome season, and I've bet him a little bit. He's been steamed up a little bit, but in this event, to have him at 55 to 1, he just he pops everywhere. It just needs to click for him 1 week, and he almost got it at the Valero Texas Open. The irons really let him down there, but just having an all-around great season, no like glaring weakness to his game. And Danny Walker, he popped at the players, right? T6, he was what was he, a Monday qualifier, or like someone withdrew last second that got him in the field and he finished T6. Awesome story, gained across the board. Missed the following three cuts, but had some real good flashes in his game around the green, on approach, his driving distance. He bombs the ball off the tee. He had a T31 at the Crowless Punta Cana. I was on him last week. But I think pairing up with someone like Gerard, I think these two could definitely contend together. And the odds just feel off here. This might be one that I have to put in.
Yeah, there's a you know feeling to myself that this may be one of those like most tipped groups because the value is there on top of good play by both these golfers. And again, going off the complementary thing, we have Walker 17th in birdie or better with Gerard 48, Gerard 28th in approach, while Walker's 44th, Walker 45th around the green, Gerard 106, Gerard 10 or 51 in sand, Walker 133, Gerard 15th putting, Walker 113. The list goes on and on. Where there is a weakness, the other guy picks them up. Like you said, Gerard is playing fantastic golf. Danny Walker popped with a great story. A big number in this field, a big number is basically 40 plus, right? When you only have
Yeah,
80 teams to choose from, it's kind of like a limited field event. 160 golfers, 80 teams, 80 bets. So this is like one of my first clicks when I ran my model. They popped. I was like, this is it. This is great value. And we'll see what comes up when the golf tipster posts about his, wheel of death, if you want to call it that.
yeah,
But great value by two great golfers. This is my next play as well.
yeah.
All right, I guess that transitions me to my final play here, Jake, and it's Bo Hostler and Andrew Putnam at 60 to 1. We'll talk about the compliment again here. Putnam is 28th on approach, Hostler 147. Putnam fourth in bogeys and seventh in green regulations. Hostler 117, 165 respectively. But unlike most of the pairings I've talked about and on my card this week, they do play. They have some of the same strength. Hostler 119 or 19th around the green, putting on 27. Hostler 31st on putting, putting on 48th. Putting on 51st scrambling, Hostler 66. Hostler placed third here in 2023 with Wyndham Clark. Putnam has missed the cut each of his past three seasons here. Think this is a great group where there are a few weaknesses that they complement each other, but they play a very similar game. And the complementary thing is kind of nice where you can pick up where it is. But if you guys both excel at the same thing, especially when you're doing the alternating shot, because it's not like you can have one guy do all the approach, or one guy do
Yeah.
all the around the green, or one guy putt. You're gonna have to putt. You're gonna have to do all of the aspects of the game. So if there is a group that is strong in two categories as they are around the green, putting in this group respectively with the Putnam's approach play along the way. I think it's a good combination as well. 60-1, again, a big number. And yeah, Bo Hostler's a top three here in the last two seasons.
Yeah, I like the shout out there. I don't have much to add, Nate. I think you covered that one like perfectly.
Perfect. Well, let's hear your final one then, Jake.
Yeah, the last one, you mentioned it before. I have to talk about it. It's the Paul brothers, Yannick and Jeremy. So I'll start off with Yannick. Really disappointing DP World Tour season. This guy used to be like a guaranteed top 10 every single week without
Oh,
winning.
if you followed me, he was like one of my staples of my card back in 2023, 2022 when I first started doing DP World Tours, like Yannick Paul, Adrian Ronk every single week.
Yeah, this guy is like the almost the Patrick Cantlay of the DP World Tour, where he's just peppering top finishes, and then this season he's kind of fallen off the rails with like a ton of missed cuts or like barely missing the cut. Last week at the Volvo China Open, finished solo third, so I'm kind of hanging my hat there for Yannick. When it comes to Jeremy, he graduated from the Corn Ferry Tour and has had some awesome finishes on the PGA Tour so far. T25 in Mexico, T16 in Puerto Rico, 22nd at the Valspar, and then a T2 last week in Punta Cana. So playing some awesome golf, brotherly chemistry you cannot match with a friend or anything. I do like these two to go out there. I think 75-1 is worth a shot at the very least for two brothers who, like you said before, Yannick had a third place finish. Paul or Jeremy had his second place finish last week. Put those two together, hopefully build on some good form at 75-1. Have a shot.
Yeah, this is a group that I'm really excited about, and I'm kind of gutted they're not on my card. Again, Yannick Paul used to be one of my go-to guys in the DP World Tour, and Jeremy Paul has been really good from graduating from the Corn Ferry Tour. And to be fair, I had no clue Yannick had a brother until this season when was it Mexico when Jeremy popped?
Yeah.
First tied first round later. Yeah, it's a great pairing, and what a story that would be. Two brothers winning a PJ Tour event together, and I think you still get the same treatment if you win the Zurich Classic as in terms of
You
a
do.
full PJ Tour card. So you do that where Jeremy just graduated from the Corn Ferry Tours, grinding to keep that card for next season on good pace to do so, and then Yannick not having a PJ Tour card himself. So why not come out here as brothers, get it done, secure yourselves, exemption for the next two seasons, and then play PJ Tour golf together? That seems like a dream to me.
Yeah, and that's what Matt's trying to do with Alex here. They are, I mean,
Yes.
another just that doesn't come in a model, right? Just trying to drag your brother across the finish line and, that's another real feel-good story. Like I would love to see a brothers duo win if it's not for someone on either of our cards.
Yeah, because I think in the same aspect, isn't Alex older than Matt?
Yeah,
Yeah, so same thing with Jeremy older than Yannick. They're trying to help their brother who probably introduced them to golf or help them get to the point they're at right now, trying to propel them onto the PGA Tour where, Alex has been grinding forever he was on the Challenge Tour for the longest time, went to the DP, he's been kind of stuck there. And same with Yannick, who just can't get over the hump. It would be incredible if one of those three brother groups were to get it done. I know Rasmus and Nikolai aren't playing for as much as the other two aforementioned are.
yeah,
All right, Jake, that's it for the Zurich Classic of New Orleans. We're moving on to the DP World Tour side of things. A second stop in China this week. There's no Japan event on the DP World Tour schedule, which I think is odd this season. But either way, we're down in the, how do I say this? The Hainan Island, I believe, the
sounds right.
southernmost point of China. It is a 1,002, or excuse me, what is this? A 13,000 square mile island province of China. Again, serves as the southernmost point of the country. Again, last week was in China, but the two golf courses sit 1,253 miles away from each other. China is absolutely huge. So we're moving here for the Hainan Classic. Again, new to the DP World Tour. This is the inaugural playing, but this golf course, we have seen some big events played here. We saw the 2012 WGC HSBC Championship won by Ian Poulter and the 2011 Omega Mission Hills World Cup won by Matt Kuchar and Matt Kuchar and Gary Woodland back in 2011. Excuse me. This is the Blackstone course, the Blackstone course at Blackstone course of the Mission Hills Haiku. Man, sometimes I
Nailed it.
hate how my American ignorance here. Either way, the field, as much as what we saw last week, it's a weaker field than most DP World Tour fields we see. They're off next week. It's a massive trip from China, the mainland of China, down here. So again, headlined by some Chinese natives looking to claim victory in home soil. Hotun Lee, who had to share the 54-hole lead last week, didn't get it done. He's back to headline this field. Ashan Wu comes in fresh off claiming a victory. And again, shout out to Titanic in our Discord, 200 to 1, only guy in the tipsters chart to get that one done. We have, Dao Chang, Ding Weihu or Weihe. Other notable golfers, Eugenio Shakara, Giannis Veerman, Julian Guerre, Angel Higado, Adrian Atagwe, Kaita Nakajima, Jorge Campillo, and Daniel Hillier teamed up this week. So this golf course is part of the Mission Hills Complex, which is this world's second largest golf resort that features 10 championship courses. The course is set on top of an ancient lava field known for its volcanic landscape. It is routed through dense jungle and open wetlands with leech trees throughout. Designed by Brian Curley and opened in 2011. Plays a par 73 at a staggering 7,808 yards. The course was established to challenge the elite players of the world. One of the course's claims to fame is the ability to seamlessly blend the golf course into the natural environment. For example, the bunker seamlessly transitioned into lava rock filled waste areas. The fairways are described as both tumbling and feature dramatic elevation changes. One of the featured holes of this golf course is the par 3 fifth that plays over a lava field to a tiered green surrounded by a waste area. The front nine of this golf course is routed through dense forest as the back nine climbs to higher elevation and offers panoramic views of the property. The back nine also features back-to-back par fives, a rarity across professional golf. The first of which is the 12th hole, which is one of the easiest holes on the golf course. That is followed by a daunting 681-yard 13th hole. Jake, anything to add here?
No, think you covered it.
All right, Jake, I got four names on my card this week. How many you have?
I have four as well, and I think we have a
Oh,
little bit of overlap at least.
all right. Well, I guess I'll start and see where that overlap happens. I'm going to start with Marco Penge at 45 to 1. It's a monster golf course that hasn't been seen a lot, so I went with a guy here who has a rare combination of elite distance and elite putting on the DP World Tour with Penge. He is currently where is he? With this being said, he is third on tour in average driving distance and fourth in strokes gained putting. He's also fifth in birdie or better, 11th in par five, he's 94th in sand saves, 98th tee to green, and 134 in scrambling. He has played in each of the last six events of the DP World Tour, 26th last week, missed the cut in India, 49th in Singapore, 19th in Joburg, third in South Africa, and 20th in the National Kenya Open. A big number with a guy with a rare combination of distance and putting, which I really like this week.
Yeah, I like that shout for sure. And he's had some great finishes this year as well. So I think that's a really good call. And I think 45 is more than a fair number on a guy like Peng.
100%. Especially with I know we've seen this golf course, but it's been well over a
A while.
decade. And back then it was like the 2011 was when this golf course opened. So it hosted an event in 2011 and 2012. Things have changed since then. Not only the game of golf itself, but probably this golf course in a sense. So it's essentially brand new, especially the DP World Tour side of things. So a guy who can mash the ball and putt really well is a good way to start my card, in my opinion.
Yeah, Peng was like
All
14
right,
years
Jake,
old when
who's
this
your?
course hosted an event.
Oh yeah, yeah. A lot of these guys we talked about will be, but all right, Jake,
Exactly.
who's your
Yeah.
first play?
Yeah, this is where we have some overlap, I'm sure. It's Jacob Skov-Olsen. I got him at 55. I was definitely late to the party, but he's one of those guys that once you're on him, he's playing so well that it feels almost impossible to get off of him. Um, so I know you, and he's probably going to be the most tipped guy this week. But
No, probably.
Coming off of a T8 last week at the Volvo China Open, he had a T7 at the Joburg, a T13 at the Kenya Open, respectively, at or before that. So coming in on some great form. His season stats also incredible. 35th in driving accuracy, 71st in driving distance, 31st in greens and regulation percentage, 11th in stroke average. So again, just a young buck playing some awesome golf. At 55 to 1 feels like you just have to keep rolling the dice with him.
Yeah, the DP World Tour is notorious for doing that to you. Is you find a guy, you get on him, starts having some good form, and you're just afraid to get off of him because the second you do, he goes on to win. Example for me, Julian Gare last season, and my one of my more famous one was Andy Sullivan, who I bet constantly, and then I got off of him, and then he goes on to win the first stage of the DP World Tour playoffs. So still gutted about that one, but that happens all the time on the DP World Tour. You finally let go of your guy. It's been 2 months of betting them almost every week. You're like, all right, not this week, and then that's the week they win. But yeah, I'd love to play. He's on my betting card. I think I have him 70 to 1. Again,
Yeah, it's a great
was
number.
has no right being 70 to 1 in this field, in my opinion. And that's why he's down to 50 some. But yeah, love to play Jake. All right, so that means my next play here is Nicholas Lemke at 60 to 1. We're not going with a young buck here. We're going with a seasoned veteran, the Swede here. He has played 5 events so far this season, placing 37th or better in each of them. 22nd last week, 37th in Joburg, 13th in Kenya, 10th in Qatar, 33rd at the Marathas Open. Currently 20th on tour in tee to green, 21st in driving distance and scrambling, 29th in par fives, 30th in sand saves, 44th in putting, and 101st in birdie or better percentage. One of those guys who constantly pops my model. This was the week where I can get him, fit him into the card because half the time he's either not playing or just isn't the right fit. But he has a good combination of some good distance with a well-rounded game, a strong tee to green game. And maybe this is one of those events where a seasoned veteran can come through and get it done. We saw Ashan Wu, who's been around for the longest time on the DP World Tour last season. I know it was on, mainland China and home soil, but these type of events, these brand new golf courses, things that we haven't seen before, it's really where these veteran guys who can kind of put things behind them and get it done again. It feels like this could be a chance for Lemke to get back in the winner's circle.
Yeah, and it's one of those that it's just a feel good, right? 40-year-old battled his way last year through the Challenge Tour, qualified this year for the DP World Tour, has a bunch of great finishes this year. Just it's something to root for, right? And on a new course, like you said, relatively new course, one that he hasn't played even as a 40-year-old, but there's definitely some enticing odds there for a guy who's in good form.
Yeah, the DP World Tour, we're so caught up in the new hot toy that's coming out, right? The Jacob Skovolsons, the Rasmus and the Nikolais and the Ludwig Abergs of the past. Like all those guys, they come up, they're here for half a season or a full season before they graduate to the PGA Tour. But there are those unsung heroes who've been around for the longest time. And a guy like Lemke, who, as you mentioned, grinded himself at 40 years old, 39, 38 through the Challenge Tour. That's no easy feat, especially the Challenge Tour where you're playing all over the world, every other week, doing so for such small price, comparatively, right? You're still
Yeah.
making a living playing golf, the dream, right? But you're still doing it for pennies on the dollar compared to what you can make in the DP and then the PGA Tour. So kudos to him. And again, a feel good story for you is to get it done this week.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, Jake, who you have next here?
Yeah, speaking of young buck, I can't take my finish off or finger off of. I can't like he doesn't fit this course perfectly, but given the odds I had to stay on it, it's Kazuma Kobori. I got him at 65 to 1. Not long off the tee at all, but he is extremely accurate. He's fourth on the DP World Tour in driving accuracy. He's also a phenomenal putter. 44th in putts per green in regulation, 48th in average putts per round. Also very solid greens in regulation percentage, 56th and 20th in stroke average. So came onto the DP World Tour this year, I believe from the Asian Tour, and he has a bunch of great finishes, including a T25 at the South African Open, T9 at the Porsche Singapore Classic, and then a T20 last week at the Volvo China Open. Again, you're looking for someone with some driving distance. He does not fit that bill, but like we say all the time, Nate, if you find yourself in the fairway, sometimes it can be just as beneficial as bombing the ball down the fairway on some holes and just keeping yourself out of potential issues and trouble down the line. So I thought 65 was fair for a young 23-year-old to just try to break through on the DP World Tour here.
Yeah, good result last week as well, right? And a guy that, again, from the Jap or the was it Japanese tour, I believe he was on, a young guy that, again, you have been on him for a while now. It's not time to take your finger off the pulse as he continues to litter good performances. He's showing strong golf, playing golf courses well across the world. So now's the time to keep going. And it's a big number, right? It's a way that you can keep him on your betting card without, steering away because he gets down to the 30s, 35s, and you got to be like, okay, I've been playing him for a month now, but he's been steamed down to 28, 33. I can't keep doing this. And that's when they go on to win. But either
Yep.
way, I do love the show.
Yep.
All right, rounding up my card this week is a guy I probably shouldn't be betting still. And again, keeping my finger on the pulse of Freddie Shoot at 100 to 1. Big number here for the German. We haven't seen him on the DP World Tour since Singapore, where he missed the cut, but he made his last two starts in the Hotel Planet Tour, formerly the Challenge Tour, sixth at the UA Challenge and 24th last week at the Abu Dhabi Challenge. He does have some great performances in the DP World Tour this season, though, placing seventh in Kenya, fifth in Mauritius, 16th at the ISBS Honda Australian Open, and 15th at the BMW Australian PGA Championship. Those tournaments seem like it was a decade ago at this point, being in the fall. Currently sixth on tour in driving distance, smashes the ball. He's eighth in par fives, plays those well. There's an added one this week being a par 73. He's 15th in putting, 29th in sand saves, 34th birdie or better, 36th scrambling, 85th tee to green. Again, a guy who I have not only played on the DP World Tour, but when I do a little bit of the dabbling in the Hotel Planner Tour, he's often on my card there. Got to keep the finger on the pulse as we've been talking about this entire podcast so far, Jake. So 101 for Predator Shoot for me.
Yeah, I like the shout. And with at least one of the next two guys I'm going to cover here to round out my card, it's a similar thing, right? You said it before. On the DP World Tour, especially when you find your guy, you kind of just have to stick with it until you got nothing left.
There we go. All right, Jake, you got two left, so let's hear those guys.
Yeah, I'll go through those quickly. So Martin Kuvra, 100 to 1. I
Yep.
was on him last week, missed the cut. I've been on him all season. He's been a popular one, especially after a T4 at the Bahrain Championship, followed by a T5 at the Commercial Bank Qatar Masters. Also popped at the Singapore Classic with a T14. He seems like a guy who could just pop randomly. So I'm kind of, again, keeping it there. I think 100 to 1 is more than a fair number to keep my shot. He's accurate, slightly below average in driving distance, but a very solid putter. So I thought that he was a good play there. And then just going right into my next one here, Ricardo Guvia, 100 to 1. He's been playing really well recently and has some solid finishes. It felt like every other week to start the season, he had a T20, but then his last 3 weeks, Singapore Classic, a T14, India Open, a T17, and then last week, a T32. A guy who, again, slightly below average in driving distance, rather accurate, very solid approach player. If he could just get some putts to fall, I really like him this week. And again, 100 to 1, I'm not risking too much, and I think that there's definitely meat on the bone.
Yeah, two great plays there, two popular names across golf betting Twitter, especially this season. I have honestly, as much as I followed the DP World Tour, did not realize Ricardo was back in that good of form. Again, he had some a great stretch that caught a lot of attention earlier this season. You know, sometimes I like to please myself when I see a betting card and there's some flags on there we don't get to see often, and Portugal
Yeah.
is definitely one of them. I love when I can tweet out my DP card and it's all different flags for whatever reason that strikes my fancy. And
Yep.
yeah, Ricardo, that's nothing to do with his analysis, but it's just fun.
I agree.
All right, that's it for the DP World Tour event, the Hainan Classic. And real quick before we hop off here, I've mentioned this to start the podcast. The first major of the LPGA Tour season, the Chevron Championship, is this week. And if you guys haven't had the chance to tune in some LPGA golf, it is still very quality golf. It is still electric. It is still exciting. And yeah, I think it's a great week to introduce yourself to the women's side of the game. And again, Craig Thompson does such a fantastic job for We Know Fantasy and Out of the Rough in covering this side of things. I've been doing LPGA majors for the last few seasons along the way, and I dabble here or there in the LPGA, not nearly to the extent he does it. So, just some real quick information about the Chevron Championship. I won't really go for the course or the field or all that. Just know it's a major, so everyone and anybody is here this week. There is the current World Amateur golf ranking number one Lottie Wood is here this week, making her LPGA debut, the 2024 Augusta National Women's Amateur Champion, and a junior at Florida State University. Just one of the names to note. The Woodlands course at Carlton Woods, Jack Nicklaus design, opened 2001. Par 72 at 6,900 yards, give or take. Natural lakes, ponds, forests, and rolling terrain of the area. Blah, blah, blah. If you're looking for that full in-depth breakdown of the course in the field, check out WeKnowFans.com for my article there. Just a few names I wanted to highlight on my card this week. I'll lock Kim 25 to 1, my favorite per my stats based model. Currently seventh on tour in both scoring average and par fives, ninth around the green, 17th in putts, 18th driving accuracy, 19th driving distance, 37th on approach. Of golfers who have placed at least or have played at least five events so far this season, she has the second best average finishing placement to just Gino Thiticul, who is the odds-on favorite to win this week. She won the Hilton Grand Vacations Tournament Champions this season, sixth at Honda LPGA, seventh at HSBC, 17th at Blue Bay, 13th at Ford Championship. And in the last two seasons where this golf event has been held at the Woodlands Golf Course, was previously held in California, but of course, Chevron being the sponsor, moving to Texas made more sense. She placed ninth and fourth from 2022 or 29th the season ago, fourth in 2023. So some great course history here as well. She is a major champion back in 2020 at the U.S. Women's Open. Nasa Hakata, 28 to 1, right behind Kim in my stats based model, fourth on approach, 11th scoring average, 23rd on par fives, 26th in driving accuracy, 29th in putting, 30th around the green, 80th in driving distance. She is she has played at least of those who have played at least five tournaments, excuse me, she has the fourth best average place finishing placement behind the aforementioned Kim and Thick Cole as well as Minji Lee. Sixth at JM or last week's JM Eagle LA Championship, 17th of the Ford Championship, eighth of the Blue Bay, 14th HSBC, 11th of the Founders Cup. She has seeking her major title. She was the runner-up at the U.S. Women's Open in 2021 and the Women's PGA Championship in 2018. Best finishes at third at the Evian, seventh at the British Open, and seventh at this event in 2020. Eki Iwaya, 33 to 1, an elite iron player, ranks fifth on tour and approach. Some good form as well. Gabby Lopez, 60 to 1, fresh off a miscut the JM Eagle LA Championship, but prior to that, had an insane run of three straight events, sixth of the Ford, eighth at the Blue Bay, fourth at HSBC. And then finishing my card this week is Patty Tavaton. I can't say her last name. Tavatantic, I believe. 80 to 1's my long shot this week. 2021 Chevron champion. She seems to pop on every major she has shown up at. Fifth at the 2021 PGA Championship, fifth at the 2018 US Open, T7th at the British Open in 2021, and third last year at the 2024 Evian Championship. Just one of those golfers who has, for whatever reason, we see him on the PGA Tour. When it comes to majors, they're just in contention, and she's definitely one of those at big odds. But yeah, looking for more LPGA content, check out WeKnowFans.com. Myself or Craig Thompson has you covered there this week. Jake, I know we talked about this before the podcast. PGA, look at this, guys. PGA moves to the CJ Cup Byron Nelson next week. The DP World Tour is off. And guys, we're real close to the next major. PGA Championship's what,
Yeah,
3 weeks away? We have the Truist and the Myrtle Beach duo. Before that, in 2 weeks' time, major season's here. It's fast and
yeah.
furious. The heart of the season's here. Again, Live's back this week. If you're looking for that, check out my full card on the Discord. Jake will plug that here real quick before we do get off here. But yeah, Jake, anything to add or whatnot before we hop off this podcast?
No, if you do tune into the LPGA this week, these women have the perfect shots. Like,
Oh,
if you're
yes.
looking for any fundamental, like, don't look at freaking Scotty Scheffler, okay? He might be playing well, but his stroke, like his swing is absolutely horrific. If you try to replicate that yourself, you're going to be in a horrible position. If you're looking for like actual swing tips, watch these women hit the ball. It is fundamentally as sound as it gets, and it's beautiful to watch, honestly.
Yeah, I remember playing junior high basketball, not golf, but basketball. And my coach always told us if we're looking to study shooting form, check out the women's game, check out the WNBA, women's college basketball, because the fundamentals are so much there than the men's side of thing. Because again, sometimes when you have like the Scotty Schefflers of the world, the elite athletes can get away with things that they're doing. The top women across most sports. If you're looking for fundamentals, that's the place to go.
Yeah.
You definitely hit the nail on the head there, Jake.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, Jake, where can people find you on social media?
Yep, you can find me at the Jake Freeman on Twitter. I'll be posting my outright cards and whatever I place there. But also be sure to join the Discord. Any matchups that I find this week, if they are even offered, I believe that there has to be some sort of matchup
I'm sure
offered
there'll
in
be.
this event. That will be more the avenue that I take this week. So be sure to check that out in our Discord, completely free. Nate will be posting first round leaders if he's playing that this week. Again,
Or not.
exclusive live card. All that kind of stuff completely free. Reach out to either of us if you're interested in NASCAR, golf, tennis. We opened up a Prem channel in there now, or soccer just in general. So we're expanding. If you want to see anything new in there, just hit us up. We're happy to add it and get that community going for you. But again, once you're in there completely free, you have access to everything and everyone. So again, a great resource to just have.
Yeah, if you hop in there and you're a giant badminton fan or something and you want to see a badminton channel, we'll do it if you want to keep the conversation going in there. It's not again, it's not just a place for us to pump our content and all of that. It's a real community, not only for golf, for sports betting in general, or just sports fans in general, not even just on the betting aspect of thing. It's a place to be. We see a lot of hardships across the Twitter with, feuds and all of that. Not in this Discord. If you're looking for a safe place to come talk, maybe you're new to golf betting, you're new to sports betting, you're new to golf as a whole. Hop in there. There's a lot of it knowledgeable people, not only Jake and I, but a lot of people in there. So yeah, it's a great tool to have. All right, you can follow myself, Nate, on Twitter at WKF Nate. Be sure to follow We Know Fantasy on all forms of social media at We Know Fantasy. Visit WeKnowFantasy.com for some more fantasy sports content. Until next time, guys, we'll see you.